Next, tracking the passage of time using the cycle of the moon and seasonal events. Before contact with Europeans, the Mi'kmaq had their own way of tracking the passage of time. They used the cycle of the moon and changes in nature, such as the running of maple sap and the croaking of frogs. Kathy LeBlanc and Dave Chapman have been researching the traditional timekeeping customs of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Kathy is a member of the Acadia First Nation, and Dave is a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. They spoke to Stephanie Domet, host of CBC Halifax's Main Street.
Dave, what sparked your interest in the Mi'kmaq moons?
Well, I've always been interested in calendars and timekeeping and things like that because I'm an astronomer, and a lot of these things are connected with astronomy. But what got me interested in the Mi'kmaq moons was when Kathy contacted me for some help.
What kind of help was she looking for?
Well, she was helping to plan a cultural event and around the Hunter's Moon in this October, and they felt that they'd like to have some astronomical content to the program, and that's how it all started.
Kathy, what are a couple examples of Mi'kmaq moon names and how they relate to seasonal events?
Well, first of all, I'd like to go back a little ways if I could, just to say that this notion of telling a passage of time using the lunar cycles and what's happening in nature has really changed my life. I have had fuller and richer experiences with the passing of time. No longer do I do what most of us do with when a month ends, which is flip the calendar, or when a year ends, which is take the calendar off the wall and put a new one up. I have learned through this project to see, feel, and hear time passing. February, I was driving to work, and I couldn't see a thing. Like the snow, the sun, the glare on the snow was blinding me, and I was searching for my glasses. And Dave called to talk about the project, and I said, I can't see a thing, Dave. I'm blinded by the snow. And then I thought, it clicked for me, we are in the snow-blinding moon time. And I was so excited. Do you remember that, Dave?
I do.
I was so excited to see it all happen. And I've been teaching my 6-year-old niece about the moons, the moon names, and the phases. And like me, I've been watching and letting her experience it instead of teaching her all 12 or 13 of the moon times. I've been teaching her from new moon to full moon. And so she was at my house one day, and she was looking out, and she said, Auntie, look what's happening to the trees. And I said, what is happening to the trees, Holly? And she said, they're getting little buds on them. And I said, Holly, do you know what moon time we're in right now? And she said, I bet you it has something to do with trees. I said, yeah, it's the leaf-budding moon. She called me up the previous month to that, and I remember her little voice, and she said, Auntie, she said, guess what I heard last night? And I said, what did you hear, Holly? And she said, I heard the peepers. They were outside of my window. And I said, yeah, and guess what moon time we're in, Holly? And she said, I don't know, but I bet you it has something to do with peepers. And I said, yes, Holly, it's the frog croaking moon time.
Kathy, why do you think it's important for people like Holly, like yourself, like anybody, to reconnect with the Mi'kmaq moons?
I have such a different perspective on time passing. I no longer get stressed about the days flying by. For me, it's about really enjoying time, because with each moon, with each day, we're getting closer to something spectacular that's about to happen. We're about to be given gifts by Mother Nature. The maple sap is about to run, or the birds are about to lay their eggs, or the rivers are about to freeze. So we can look forward to the passage of time rather than getting caught up in getting older and getting caught up in, another day passing. This is a way for us to reconnect with the things that are going on around us.
Dave, Kathy mentioned 12 or 13 moons, and I know that researchers at Cape Breton University have applied the names of 12 Mi'kmaq moon times to the 12 months of the Gregorian calendar, but what about that 13th moon?
Well, yes, we're actually very indebted to Cheryl Bartlett and the Institute for Integrative Science and Health at Cape Breton University. In 2008, they produced a calendar of sorts, a cycle. But at the bottom of that poster, there was this tiny little footnote, and it said, at one time, the Mi'kmaq used 13 moons to note the passage of time. Tiny little footnote. And so there's a deeper richness to this. And so as an astronomer, I know that 12 lunar cycles of 29 and a half days, it doesn't add up to a full year. You're always 10 or 11 days short. And so if you use these names to the true moon cycles, after about 3 years, you're a whole moon cycle off. Well, this can't be. You can't have that if the moon names are relating to what's going on throughout the season.
You can't have frog time while the trees are budding.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
And so we believe that every 3 years or so, there would be a new name given to the moon to get everything back in order again, so that the frogs are peeping during the frog peeping moon and so on. So, but this is a bit of a mystery that we're still working on.
That was Kathy LeBlanc of the Acadia First Nation and Dave Chapman of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. They were speaking with Stephanie Domet, host of CBC Halifax's Main Street.